Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Always Level Up the podcast. I'm your host, Carlos Garcia, and I'm here with my guest, Stephen Morfin. Stephen Morfin is a great looking guy, strong athlete, musician, avid poker player. He's also a acquisition agent for New Western Acquisitions, also known as a home buyer. He buys a lot of houses for the company, and just overall, just a great guy. We have a lot to share with you today. Stephen Morfin has progressed, leveled up throughout his life, and he's going to share some of those nuggets. So grab a pen and paper, take some notes, and hopefully you can grab some value out of this show. Steven, how you doing this morning, my brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, Mr. Level Up himself.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Who's Stephen Morfin? Talk about where you've been, and just a little bit about who you are.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's a privilege. So I am Stephen Morfin, Morfin.
Nice.
Like the Flores, F-O-R-E-S. Shout out to JD. So I'm 35 years old. I'll be 36 in November. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I'm a Texas boy. I love it here. I have traveled around playing cards, doing that whole thing, and then also with the band. I am an acquisition agent here at New Western, as you said. I love what I do. I love who I'm around, and it's a beautiful thing to be here.
Nice, awesome. So let's get right into it, man. Let's talk a little bit about your journey, and I know you were a musician for grew up playing in the music industry, and but also you were very avid music player. So tell everybody a little bit about how that began and just kind of what that looked like.
Man, so in school, I remember in elementary, I would always be banging on the desk. I knew something in percussion was for me.
Nice.
And I bought my first drum set, or my parents bought my first drum set. I grew up playing drums in the church. I ended up playing in several bands, but before the age of like 13, just
Wow.
with my cousins, and we all just got together and would jam, and I grew I fell in love with music. I fell in love with playing drums. I had a couple idols that I looked up to, and I just wanted to be so much like them.
Yeah, who were they?
I'll mention one. He's probably the most famous drummer on earth, even though maybe not the best drummer, but definitely the most famous, and he backs it up with his skills. But Travis Barker from Blink-182,
Oh, nice.
Hands down, he's just the coolest guy on earth to me. And just the looks and the drums and everything else, he's very, very talented guy. And I just really looked up to him.
Right.
And he played in several bands, and I grew up, listening to him and wanting to be like him, basically. But yeah, that was, like I said, from 8th grade to high school, joining different bands, playing here, playing gigs there, and then finally being with a serious band, probably at the age around 19 with JD.
Yeah, awesome. So music was just your life growing up, and the drums was your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was also into sports as well.
Uh-huh.
I played basketball and football. I don't know how I didn't die playing football, to be honest with you. But I just had no fear. It's weird. I have a couple things to say that I feel like helped me,
Uh-huh.
in the business world and in my relationship world, because I didn't realize how actually small I was.
Yeah.
Because my thoughts were bigger.
And your heart was big.
My heart, I got a heart.
You got a big heart, man.
I got a big heart.
Anything.
You know what I mean? So I think I didn't realize until I actually grew up and it was like, man, I weighed 130 pounds. Like, what? Just crazy.
But I was fast.
I was fast, man. That's, they couldn't catch me.
Right.
So basketball and football, and I actually was pretty good at baseball. I just didn't pursue baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I did, being left-handed and everything else like that.
What did you spend most of your time doing?
As far as sports.
Yeah, or sports and music, or was it just a combination of
Man,
both?
it was actually a combination of both. Like I really, I got home. That's another thing. I was always on the go. I used to tell my mom I wrestle and I'm dead. Yeah, she's like, "Mijo, like you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like,
How old were you when you're telling your mom that?
15.
Oh wow,
You know what I mean? Like I
that's
was
impressive.
Yeah, I was young. Like it's like I had this like always doing something, always hanging out with friends, always playing. I had basketball practice, and then I had a basketball game, then band practice on Saturdays, and I just my life was so full. Like I would just never just resting.
Yeah, very very active. What taught you that? Like, was it just something inside you, or somebody that you looked up to?
I know my mom was always active, and I gotta talk about her. She's my rock.
Oh, nice.
But
Yeah, for
but yeah,
sure.
well, I know that growing up, I always looked up to her as well. She was kind of like the main breadwinner. Even though my pops was there too, they were the salesmen and saleswomen that I grew up watching.
Oh yeah.
And they were just always hustling, man. Like always just on the grind, taking care of my grandmother, taking care of my brothers and sisters. My dad's in and out of town, like just making $1 here, making $1 there, just always consistently doing something. And I think as a kid, I mean, I wasn't always working, but I was always working towards something, bettering myself in some aspect, whether it be sports and music or it actually taught me a lot of discipline. It really did. And my dad was the disciplinary on that side of things, and he just was like, hey, you need to do these kinds of things, and
Nice.
and it just kept me going for real.
Yeah, you definitely have to have somebody that can hold you accountable. I mean, especially as a kid growing up, a lot of times people don't have that discipline instilled, and it's easy to drift, right? So, when you have somebody there to say, hey, keep you on course, and keep you busy, right? You know what they say, idle time's the devil's playground, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You get too much free time on your hands, you get in trouble. But that's awesome. So how much time did you spend into the band, and would you say like were you like putting the most time into band, or were you putting the most time into sports, or where did your time go like growing up?
So the sports stuff was more from school, obviously.
Yeah.
So whenever I was at school, we had a practice, I would just go there from there. But when I think music was a extracurricular activity or whatever, curricular activity. So whenever I wasn't going to school, I was doing that. So it was just, I think it was 50-50. I remember one time JD was like, look, man, are you in the band? Are you in the story? And I was like, I can do both. You know what I mean? I can, like, don't worry about it. I'll be there at practice. I will be there,
Right.
Just because I was dedicated. Because I think if you're passionate about anything, I don't care if it's flipping a burger or writing a song. If you're passionate about it, you're gonna do it. You don't care how tired you are. You're not tired.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I was, and that's how my parents were like, "Man, you're gonna die. Like, what if you don't ever sleep?"
You're
Like,
right. I will die one day.
yeah. You know what I mean? Like it was really. I learned to manage my time, I guess, if if you want to put it that way.
Right.
And it was going to school from this hour to this hours.
Right.
And that's when I would do my sports stuff. And then after that, I would be definitely going and getting into music and practicing.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool because as a kid or as a teenager, you're not really aware of what you really want to do. You know what you like to do, and you just do those things, right? And it kind of tees you up for what you're going to do when you grow up.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? So, at what point did you give music your all, and at what point did that change?
So yeah, we when I joined the band, I guess the most band that had a chance, basically, I guess you could say. We definitely put some money into it, started touring a lot. That was called a band, MIT, Moments in Tragedy.
Oh, nice.
And shout out to emo kids, right? So yeah, that was with JD. That was kind of like we were already at the end of high school, about to graduate. We were gonna probably lose our guitars. He's gonna go to college and all this other stuff. And me and JD are looking like, well, we're gonna make it by then. Like,
We're all in.
we're all in, man. Like we don't care. Like
You put sports on the back burner. You're like, I'm not gonna be an athlete.
Exactly. I'm not going pro. You know what I mean? Like, I think I made that decision probably like my senior year. You know, I was like, hey, this is what we got to go music. You know, this is what, and I think I actually had a bigger passion at the very end towards music because I knew that I wasn't going to be in the NBA. You know what I mean? I knew
I could play the mess out these drums.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so and that's when we really recorded an album. You know, we recorded a music video. That was so fun. Doing all that kind of stuff. And we really gave it a push. A little regret there because we didn't tour as much as we should have.
Right.
Everything has, you have to put the work in, and I wish we did. But I have no doubt in my mind that if we would have toured, we'd be out there because I have a friend of mine who did make it. You know, they are out there. And I talked to them. I talked to one of my best friends. His brother's is the bassist in that band. So
what band was that?
Nothing More. Look them up. Nothing More. San Antonio. Good guys. Really, they were either going to be, flipping burgers or rock stars, and they were banned for about 10 years, maybe 20 years now. So they never stopped, and we played shows with them and everything else. So
nice.
But
that commitment paid off.
Exactly,
them, right?
The commitment paid off. So
and do you feel like y'all maybe stopped a little bit short from the gold?
I think so, man. I really do. I feel like we didn't have the so our guitarist left. Josiah went to UT, went to college, and that's good for him, you know what I mean? But me and JD wanted to pursue this, and we were like, man, we tried to find different pieces to kind of make up for it, and then we even started doing stuff on our own. But there were some struggles there, like finding money to record. We weren't making money then, and
was that the biggest challenge? Was the financial support to keep going? Yeah,
just the financial support, that even finding another guitarist that could replace Josiah and be the lead guitarist and write music and
how old were y'all? How old were y'all at that time?
Anywhere between 19 and maybe 22, something like that. Yeah,
y'all still young.
Yeah.
Figuring it out, trying to push through. You had big dreams.
We just kept telling Mom, the band's gonna make it. You know what I mean? Like, go to college, son. No, the band's gonna make it, Mom. Like, it was kind of one of those deals. So
at that point, what happened? Like, once you figured out, like, music is just not it. Like, what happened? What was the next? I guess the next thought in your progression to wanting to grow.
Man, so that was a bitter pill to swallow, a tough one to take, because with that, we went all in and we knew what we had to do. It's just, you can't make it I guess you could make it as a single artist, but not as a drummer. Travis Barker probably could. But yeah, so we finally kind of just departed, I guess you could say, and started playing music for fun. That's when another band came out called Villainville, and it was mostly of like, hey, this is for fun, we're inspired, we're musicians, we're artists, like we just want to, from the mouth the heart flows,
right,
you know what I mean?
Yourself,
we wanted to express ourselves, and just let people know who we are. We weren't trying to make it at that point, and at this point, I think JD was, doing the bartending stuff, and I was like, hey, I need to start figuring out what I'm gonna do.
I need to make some money.
Hopped on my parents' payroll. My mom is a State Farm agent she was a State Farm agent for 30 years, and I was making like $1,200 a month. Doing odd stuff with her, like taking out the trash, answering the phone calls, doing that.
Kept you busy, right? Yeah.
Yes, and my buddy of mine that I did not express, around probably like 19 or 20, he showed me a game called Poker Texas Hold'em, and this kind of changed things for me. It took me a little while to learn the game and everything else like that, but we started sports betting. We started playing cards at local games here in town, and I started making a little bit of money. So I obviously had the continuous, $1,200, $1,400 from my mom, and I would kind of turn that into bigger winnings. And that's kind of where I went from music to that basically.
Right. And then and so I'm sure at that point you still weren't happy with just kind of where you're at. So what kind of challenges came with that, and what sparked you to want to change and do something else?
Oh man, the ups and downs of the poker world is just the swings are crazy. Not as crazy as real estate, but no. I'm just kidding. But yeah, just realizing that it wasn't, I wasn't going to be a professional. I cause kind of was thinking like, oh, professional poker player. Like now I almost still kind of wanting to be famous,
Right.
or not even. I didn't necessarily want to be famous, but just wanted to be known, for playing the drums or playing cards or
Right.
whatever. But realizing that it was kind of like another dream that it's not going to happen. Hey, go to college. And I still got my parents, go to school.
Mhm.
And I actually started real estate school right after high school, but I stopped because I didn't want to pursue it anymore. That was when I was doing the
Yeah.
music stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But then I just realized, like, I think JD at that point, I keep referring back to JD because that early stages was so.
Spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, I just kind of, there's little timelines that I remember based off of that.
Yeah.
And I think he started fast forwarding just a little bit, but he was already here.
Yeah.
He started making some money. And I was like, man, like, what are you doing over here? Like, you're a bartender, you know what I mean? I know you're not making that much money, you know what I mean? So he was like, I went from playing cards and all that kind of stuff to getting my real estate license.
So JD inspired you. You knew he was doing.
Yeah,
he started doing pretty good.
He started doing pretty good. He moved out of his parents' house and he got a condo and driving a BMW. I was like, all right, what's going on over here? So I asked him, and actually at that point, I already had decided like cards, is not going to get me. It's not a long-term kind of deal. And it was short term. It was fun. I got to travel. I traveled all over California, Biloxi, Mississippi, just, the circuits and things like that. Vegas, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, so I just, and in my head, I was like, what am I going to do?
Right.
During this like fast lane time, I'm thinking about what am I going to do?
Right.
And I've
You
always
had to figure out a career, right? I need something I'm gonna stick with.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's probably a lot of things that you liked and loved to do, but the long-term vision wasn't. Maybe it was hard to see it at that time.
Correct. And I was like, you know what? Maybe nursing. That I always loved science, and I started to go into classes and doing that whole thing, and it was great. It was really good. It ended up not working out.
So it wasn't what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I think, I was single at the time, and I was like, I'm going to join all the classes with all the girls. Like, yeah, that'll be cool. So
team up with somebody that's doing something.
Exactly. Just do that whole thing. And,
Right.
And then, JD was like, man, get your real estate license, and he had been telling me for a little bit.
Yeah.
And at that point, so I was still traveling.
Yeah.
And I while I was traveling, I got my real estate courses, trainagents.com,
Yeah.
And I did that and interviewed with Nate Crone.
Yeah.
I remember passing my test. I was so happy that I did. I passed my state exam the first time, but I failed the national.
Okay.
And I was like, no, like what? I can't believe,
I'm done.
I'm done, you know what I mean? But I'll never forget, dude. I actually still talk to my mom about this to this day. I didn't look at. I went the whole way down the elevator, not looking at my pass or fail thing. Got into my Jeep, and I opened it. And I think it said a little prayer too. I was like, I was like, just please, opened it up. Pass. And I was just like, I got out of my car, looked up to the heavens, you know what I mean? And I was just like, yes,
Was that for the national?
For the national, yeah. And I met my parents at Sea Island. I remember everything.
That's funny, man. I similar to you. It took me a couple tries. My first one I failed both by a point, and then my second one I passed the state, failed the national, and then the third try I knocked out the national.
Nice.
But it's very like kind of gut wrenching. Like, oh man, did I pass? Did I fail?
Yeah.
But that was a big win. What made you, really like go all in with the real estate? Like, what was it that made you say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do?
Man, to be totally honest, my mom retired.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what I mean? Like my mom was like, so she was like, you got to do something. Like I was always kind of like doing these odd jobs, like poker and sports betting and just not really having something secure. And she's like, hey, like my time's up, and I put in my work. You have to figure some stuff out.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because I feel like people may have doubted me. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah, I mean that's part of it, man. People,
you know what I mean?
People
Like,
don't want to see you grow, and
yeah,
you might become too big, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you might pass me up.
Yeah, exactly. And
but there's some people that want to see you succeed. There's a lot of people that want to see you
exactly.
succeed.
And it was one of those things where I was like, you know what? You gotta put on your pants and go to work now.
Right.
Like this is it right here. And I got my license. I got hired, and I didn't know anything, zero about real estate.
Well, and real estate's real broad, right? Because you have commercial, you have residential, you have retail, you have all these different things, and I think the area that you work in and that we work in is definitely not the typical area, right? So what was it about the investment side that you really like?
Man, so the way it was pitched to me was the fast pace.
Yeah.
And I growing up, everything was fast paced to me.
You're like, I'm always going.
I'm always going. So I was like, man, this sounds really cool, the culture and the people and everything else like that. So and I actually already had known Nate and several people that already worked here. Obviously JD. So I already had become friends with them, and it was cool. And I just said, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this a shot, and it's all I got. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing else.
Yeah, there's no plan B.
There's no plan B.
I'm going in.
I'm going in, and that was at the point where I said I gotta do it.
Right.
Basically.
So when you make that commitment, what was like the struggles like to get to where you actually were bought in and say like, man, I'm actually making some good income. Like this is doable.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah. Man, the struggles, the normal struggles of starting any new job times 10.
Yeah. There's no guarantee pay, right?
Commission based, like all this kind of stuff. The good thing about it is that my parents saw me doing something and they're like, hey, we're going to support you.
Right.
In the sense that like, hey, we got your back. You know what I mean? And I liked that. But the biggest thing that changed it for me, I'm not super like, center of attention.
Right.
I listen before I speak for sure. I had to learn to talk to people, right, and not be afraid. And
was that an area that was like hard for you to talk to people you didn't know?
At first it was, for sure. It's kind of, I'll tell you how I did it. So basically, whenever I was with a stranger that I knew they couldn't go anywhere, like for instance, grocery shopping. I'm talking to the clerk, and I made myself hold a conversation with that person. Male, female, old, young, didn't matter. Talk to them. Learn to talk to strangers and hold that conversation. That really helped me. Elevators. How awkward is it to talk to someone in an elevator?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I started doing that.
Practicing, right?
Getting
just out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, learning about other people, like just getting out of my comfort zone, putting myself out there. And it was weird for a long time, you know what I mean? But at a certain point, it clicked for me. I was like, man, just talk, just be here, just be there, make them laugh, talk about whatever it is you can, relate to them in any way possible.
Well, there's always the fears of, whoa, are they gonna think I'm weird or what's going on, right?
Exactly.
But people like being taught to, and I think that's it's part of it and just part of life, right? Our circles are changing, our environment's changing. We have to meet new people to keep growing, and that's really the name of the game, and building relationships, right? I know one thing I've heard you talk about is the relationships. You even have it on your Instagram, right? What do you say?
Relationships are greater than accomplishments.
Man, I love that. So what does that mean to you?
Oh man, relationships. I think you should invest in relationships instead of deals. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. I think family over everything. I'm a real big family guy.
Yeah, take care of the home and everything will take care of itself, right?
Yeah, you gotta fill the void of the need
Mm-hmm.
of the person.
Right.
Listen.
Mm-hmm. That's
Be
tough, right? A lot of people want to just hear themselves talk and what they
Yeah,
have to say, right? How
exactly.
hard is it to listen to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I think that's why God gave you two ears and one mouth. You got to
Right.
listen more than talk. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
So it's like you have to just just listen, and you'll learn how to fix what people are wanting,
Mm-hmm.
because people want to be listened and they want to be understood.
Right.
And that was my biggest thing. Just figuring out how can I how can I listen to this person and make them feel better,
Mm-hmm.
make them laugh,
Right.
be an asset to them,
Right.
and it comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's more fulfillment in that. You know
Right.
what I mean? There really is.
And that, like, whether you're buying a house from somebody or you're talking to your wife or even your colleague or
Yeah.
anybody you work with, right? So I think that's really important, and it's a challenge, because it takes you to sincerely be interested in what someone's saying, and to really be empathetic and listening to what they have to say, and understanding it, and making sure that they know that you understand it. And when you can communicate that back and forth, then you definitely strengthen a relationship.
For sure.
So how's life now for you, man? Is it good? Great? I mean, that journey, I mean, has it been worth it?
Oh yeah, man, it's great now, but that's the thing though. Like, if you're above ground, you got issues. You know what I mean? And like
That's right.
you're constantly trying to get better. You're constantly trying to, and we're all the same too, man. People think that they're so much better or above, and that's false.
Yeah.
The mind is the challenge.
Mhm.
If you sharpen this, everything else will follow.
Mhm.
Your body, your relationships, your money, your goals. You know what I mean? And I
Right.
think that the struggle is that
Mhm.
your mind gives up way before your body does.
That's right.
And if you sharpen those kinds of things, everything else will follow. Life is great. Life is good.
Mhm.
It always is. You know what I mean?
And how do you sharpen your mind? What do you do to keep strengthening that?
So literally, like, I think the mind is like a muscle.
Mm-hmm. It
So
is, yeah, definitely.
the mind is like a muscle, and you can sharpen your muscles and get stronger by lifting heavy, right?
Mhm.
To gain strength.
Mhm.
And for definition, you lift light. So there's and the mind is much more intricate.
Mhm.
Literally doing meditations,
Mhm.
reading, literally concentrating on one thing,
Right.
literally concentrating on it, and nothing else exists.
Right.
And that is such a hard task. It's crazy.
How do you become aware? Like, man, I need concentration. Like, is there something that made you realize that you had trouble concentrating, or how to strengthen your concentration?
Yeah, so I mean, I sometimes I get like a list of tasks to do, and I'm like, man, like I feel overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking at the entire list, and it's like, no, it's a building block. You
Gotcha.
you need to build the wall. It's the wall of success. Knock this out first. Knock this out second. Up.
Prioritize it.
Exactly. By the end of the day, you realize, oh, my wall's complete. I had a successful day.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what people don't understand. They have, and that's the the issue or the difficult part.
Right.
In any task.
Yeah, and I think that's so true, because in life we want to do everything, right? We want to we want to play a band, we want to play poker. For me, I wanted I had goals of. I remember telling my wife, I want to make movies. I want to I want to become a real estate developer. I want to do all these things. And she's like, wow, that's a lot. She's like, why don't you just pick one? Why don't you pick one and start there? I was like, good idea.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I going to be great at all this?
Yeah.
And I think greatness starts with concentrated effort and focusing on one thing, and attacking one weakness. I think that's really what you have to do. But the exercise, right? The exercises. How do you calm yourself down? You said meditation. sitting down and just focusing or just calming the mind.
Yeah.
So how important is the meditation to your life right now?
Man, disclosure, I have not meditated in a little while, and I am ashamed of that.
But you haven't. It's worked before.
Yeah, but I definitely have. I actually almost had to.
Uh-huh.
But I think even here, like I think you see me walking back here, and I'm praying, I'm meditating, I'm walking, I'm just de-stressing my mind, getting my mind off real estate, getting my mind off the world and everything else like that, and to be honest, I think if you just do it for a few seconds, a minute, 60 seconds, just trying to, it's like a reset button for me.
It's almost like just trying to be present and just
Exactly.
be here and just not think about anything.
Exactly. If you can do that, you know what I mean. Just be present in that moment. Feel the breath in your nostrils. Feel the air outside.
Try to feel some gratitude, some appreciation.
Oh my gosh, I can write a book on that about gratitude and everything else like that. We don't have time for that.
How important is gratefulness to you?
Oh my goodness, like that's the core. That's the key.
Right.
To happiness, to joy, to
having more.
To having more. To just understand.
Right.
We can be bitter. We can be better. You know what I mean? Life's gonna come hit you.
Right.
And whatever's inside of you is gonna come out.
Right.
Either bitterness is gonna come out. Hatefulness or joy can come out. Happiness can come out. It just we're gratitude. We can always. I've always said, if you're 6 feet, people ask me, how you doing today, man? I'm 6 feet above ground. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like there's a chance.
That's right. I'm alive.
I'm alive. There's a chance that I could do better.
That's right.
There's a couple wins. You know what the 3 wins are?
Tell me.
So people say, what's the first win of the day?
Uh-huh.
Oh, making your bed. Brushing your teeth.
Uh-huh.
No, that's not. Those are some good ones. You know what I mean?
For some people, it may be, right?
For some people, yeah. The first win of the day is you woke up that day.
Yeah.
That's a win.
I'm alive.
You're alive. The second one of the day is to be grateful.
Oh, nice. Express gratitude.
Express gratitude. Just be grateful that you're
feel
alive.
Feel it, right? You got to feel it, right? A lot of times people say, I am grateful, but do you really feel it?
Yeah, you got to feel it.
It's an emotion.
You got to, exactly. And it's you got to practice it as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to practice it. You got to tell yourself, hey, look what I have. Reflect.
Yeah. What am I grateful for today?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And then, and then make your bed. That's the third win.
The third win. That's make your bed. Now you're good to go.
Now you're good to go. Continue on.
I love that. I think that's important, man. There's so much that comes out of gratitude. One thing that I've learned, and I studied it from Tony Robbins, and one thing he talks about is, whenever you're feeling negative or even negativity is thrown your way or whatever it is, it's like, you can't feel, upset and grateful at the same time. One emotion is either going to rule at that moment over the other, and it's whatever emotion you give attention to. And I think that's one thing that I've learned to practice is, when I'm not feeling, positive, I just have to take a second and just think about, hey, ask myself the question, what am I grateful for right now? Try to spark that emotion of gratitude, and try to get that going, because I do believe whatever you dwell upon for too long, you'll attract to you, right? So if you dwell on that negative emotion too long, it gets worse, right? But if you can shift that attention to something to be grateful for with it, now you're moving past that emotion and negative emotion into the positive, and actually either finding solutions or just making things better with whatever you're dealing with. So awesome. So
100%.
what so currently, you're healthy, looking great, in the best shape of your life, have a strong relationship, married, and you're killing it in real estate, best number one acquisition buyer here in San Antonio, buying all the houses out there. So life's good, man. And so what does it mean for you to level up to the next level? What does that look like for you?
Man, I guess finding, continuing to do that, because you can easily fall back, right? If you're not going forward, you're going backwards.
Stay consistent.
Exactly. Stay consistent for sure. looking to be, some type of managerial role.
Right.
Continue to encourage and inspire people around me.
Nice.
I think doing that
That's
is
key.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Because we just rise together.
Right.
That's what we do. And just really figuring out what the next step is for my family and all that we're doing and all that,
Mm-hmm.
that they mean to me and everything else like that. I don't think having a specific position or role,
Mm-hmm.
but just continuing to grow
Mhm.
mentally, physically, and spiritually every day.
That's absolutely wonderful, man. I think that's balance right there. You exercise the mind, body, and spirit. You'll have balance in your life, and you'll have a more fulfilling life. And I think that's what it's about. And along the way, you give purpose to your life, and you attract the things that you want and the things that you need to enjoy it.
Hmm.
Ultimately. So, awesome, man. Well. It's been great having you on the show, man. I really do appreciate this time. I've learned a lot more about you. But before we get out, I want to know, what would be your advice to someone looking to grow, looking to level up? What's the one piece of advice you can give someone?
Man, that's tough. I would say think big and you'll be big.
Oh,
Um,
man.
be the hardest worker in the room um, with that work ethic. Be patient.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be patient. Don't be afraid of failure because failure is a building block of success that's
Mm-hmm.
necessary, and never give up.
Oh man, those are some gems right there. You just dropped a bunch of gems on everybody, man. Hope y'all got that, took some notes, and continue to grow and strive to advance yourself, no matter where you're at in your life, no matter where you're at in your career, with your relationships. I think you feed all these areas of your life, and you'll continue to move in the direction where you can, level up in all areas. And yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you. Appreciate your time. And I hope everyone out there enjoyed the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right.